Hey, and welcome to the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. I am your girl, Suzanne, also known as Positively Suzanne. Now, remember, this podcast was created with us in mind. It is a reminder that not only are we worthy, but we deserve the best versions of ourselves. So grab a cup of tea or your beverage of choice and sit back and relax and join me on this journey.
Hey there, positive people. It's your girl, Suzanne, and I am so excited. I told you all this series for the month of May is just a phenomenal, fantastic series. I am sitting down and chatting with amazing bunch of female entrepreneurs who have stepped out of the corporate world, stepped out of their 9 to 5, and they're doing it in that full entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I am woman, hear me roar. So I am beyond excited to introduce my next guest. So I'm going to just read you a little bit of her bio because it is long. I know her as Auntie, Mother Earth, just everything. Such an integral part of my youth and my upbringing, and just actually was one of the first person to give me my hosting duties. And, as I am going forth and doing more hosting things, you're going to see how that came about. But just, I am beyond honored that none other than the lovely Miss Parlee Jones is sitting down with me. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of her bio because she's not going to share all of that with you, but I have to, okay? So she is the director of Our Story Edutainment. All right. And no, it's not a mistake. It's Edutainment. So Our Story Edutainment is a cultural learning institute that teaches Black history and culture through the fusion of education and entertainment. Ms. Parlee has been doing this work through the support of the community for over 20 years. Her paying gig, her 9 to 5, she was at a shelter advocate at Abby's house for a very long time, where she helped women who were on the journey through homelessness. After 17 years, get this, people, 17 years in that position, Miss Parlee decided to walk away from that paying gig and work on Our Story Edutainment in full time. A little background on her. She has 2 adult children, Born and Shayasia, who also help with programming at the Village in Our Story. Parlee has been a community activist for as long as I can remember. She strives to make sure that Black American voices is heard at tables, that they're in rooms where, they're typically not, and where they're typically excluded from. She's a member of the Black Families Together. She's a member of the Black Heritage. She's a member of the Juneteenth Committee. She sits on so many boards and tables around the Worcester area. She's an advocate for homelessness for the city. She's an advocate for the community. Parlee strives to lead from a place of compassion and love. She's always, and this is just my additional, she's always highlighted, just the incredible strength and perseverance and resilience of Black and Brown people. I am honored to call her friend. I am honored to call her auntie. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to none other than the phenomenal Miss Parlee Jones. So Parlee, welcome to the podcast again.
Peace, peace. Thank you, Suzanne. And I am honored to call you niece.
Oh,
and friend.
Oh, that's awesome. I know, like, I grew up. It's funny, like, you were like auntie and, you were the adult for such a long time. And then I was like, wait, I'm an adult too. I don't know when that happened.
Yes. You'll never catch up to me, though.
Yeah, girl, it's all right.
As long as we keep looking good at these ages that we won't discuss, we're good.
Girl, Black don't crack.
Hello.
Hello. But, Parlee, thank you so much for once again being on the platform. You were a guest of mine last year, or was it the year before? Kind of 2020 kind of blurred a couple of things together.
Yes.
Part of the Phenomenal Woman series that I highlighted during the month of February. So I invited you on the podcast because I really first, in your bio, I kind of mentioned what is your professional background, but let's talk a little bit about your professional background and where you came from.
So if we go way back, I lived in Brooklyn for 10 years and I worked for Jeffrey and Foster, which was a printing company. So my experience is secretarial and administration. And I did that a little bit when I came back from New York. I worked for the Head Start program. And then I actually lived at Abby's house for a while I was trying to pull stuff together. When I first came back from New York, they let me live with my sister. And once I moved on from there, they asked me to be on the board. So I was on the board. And then Tess asked me if I would be the shelter manager. Always showing compassion, always am who I am. This is, I can't fake it. This is just who I am. So Tess thought I would be a good fit for that. I said, Tess, I'm a secretary. She said, oh, you'll be fine. So I started there like 17 years ago, and I stayed for, again, 17 years. And people told me I'm good at what I did and I'm going to own. But now I am the director of Our Story Edutainment.
All right, fantastic. All right. So in that field that you did, obviously you liked it because you were in there for 17 years. What was it about it that you liked?
I think in the beginning, honored and humbled to be part of so many journeys. There's a couple of things we don't choose to be in our lifetime. One of them is homeless. Another one is to have had trauma or become addicted. But here we are with these things. And, it's like, how do you start over again? Like, how do you pick up the pieces after big losses and big hits? And to be a part of those journeys with women for me, was an honor, to be able to walk with them, to get their keys they haven't had in a couple of years, or, little breakthroughs, maybe getting their children back from DCF, or, even for some of them, just having a safe place to sleep for a couple of weeks, is what it was. So honored and humbled to be part of so many journeys. And Abby's House is an amazing organization, and to, be their shelter advocate, sit at tables representing Abby's, always representing myself because I carry those relationships with me to this day. But it's about the people. It's about, trying to help people get to where they want to be.
Okay. So, all right. So what is it? Tell me, is there anything you didn't like about working in corporate America? Because, you're working for a corporation. What didn't you like?
So when I first started at Abby's, it was one of those traditional grassroots nonprofits. But unfortunately, those have to grow also. And I keep that in mind as I step forward in my nonprofit. So when I first started, there was structure, but there weren't policies and procedures in place and all of that good stuff. So we were able to do what we could do because people are not cookie cuttered. Everybody doesn't have the same needs. So we were able to meet people where they were and do what needed to be done. As the original leadership of Abby's kind of aged out, luckily they're still with us, and that Rafferty is still with us in her 90s, but they stepped back from leadership positions. And for the first time in like over 40 years, people from the outside have come in, and like the executive director and all the positions that she put into place to make sure that the organization goes forward into the future. But it kind of loses a little bit once you put those policies and procedures in place, and now you have. So it got a little more difficult. They did do like a pay equity thing, and they wanted to give me some more money, not enough money. They wanted to take my Fridays off, which I had from day one. We didn't get a bonus this year. So lots of changes, and I really wasn't feeling it. And then homelessness in general. Like, we don't have to talk about the price of apartments and housing and services and all of that. And truthfully, I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel for the women anymore.
Wow.
Totally burnt out with homelessness. So if I can't see the light for the women that I'm working with, I was like, I don't want to harm them any more than they've already been harmed. And, you start dreading going into work, and it's more of a task than even to just, get there and get your money. It's like I would sit in my car and be like, I don't want to do this today. And it didn't have anything to do with anybody personally. It was just all of the above combined. So me and my family had a little tragedy at the end of the year. And I said, you know what? The rest of my life is going to be the best of my life. And I'm going to put my whole heart into our story. Yeah. So, and that's where I am. The other piece of it is through George Floyd and our Black, we had a community gathering. And one of the things that we decided that we needed was a place for Black folks to meet. We were meeting in the park because we didn't need a white gaze. We just wanted to be free to talk about what we saw when we saw George Floyd murdered. So one of the things, and my friends Ulam and Matt, who ran Stone Soup Artist Collective for over 20 years, were ready to give it up, and they wanted to transition the building into something else. So we approached them with our ideas for the Village. And the Village is an Afrocentric cultural learning and healing center, which my daughter is the executive director of. So Our Story Edutainment is one of the lead organizations in that building. And we are just so excited to be able to bring programming for our babies, for our elders, for our people, bring it to the city, because we haven't really had a space since Prospect House. We have plenty of churches. We have a couple stores. We still don't have enough. There's not enough Black representation in Worcester, but we do now have a building where we are able to do amazing things.
Yep. Wonderful. No, that's wonderful. There's just so much in that, to unpack, just being in a place and just feeling like, okay, I've done all that I can, but like the impact is going to be different because you know what? Homelessness is an epidemic, and it's not just in Worcester. And while you're located in Worcester, it's over so many different communities. And I can imagine that, my listeners that are out there that are in a similar position as you, kind of feeling just the helplessness of it. Like you're feeling that, you're hitting your head against the wall. And I understand that organizations have to change and corporations have to change. But the bottom line is the bottom line. When it gets to the point that you can't impact the very people that you're trying to impact, it's frustrating and it's heartbreaking for somebody like you who has the heart of giving and, just wanting to make a difference. So I know that it wasn't an easy decision for you to make to step away. But you know what? Especially in that environment, you have to protect your mental peace because you can become overwhelmed and become a victim of the very issue that you're trying to solve.
Exactly. Especially, I'm going to call it a catchphrase, but I agree that we need to take self-care, especially in positions where you're dealing with people, where you're dealing with issues that are like beyond really what the human can really deal with. And but how do you do self-care when you need to be present and you need to do this and you need to do that and you still need your time? And do you have these hours? And how many vacation days do you have left? And how much sick time do you have? Really? Okay. So yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. No, it really is hard. You're trying to hold, because, you're also a mom and, you have 2 kids and you know what, you have to be there and show up for you, because it's one thing that I have learned and I've seen it with folks, because I do, counseling for folks. I've seen that they do everything and they give everything to a corporation. And in the end, they lose themselves. And, when something happens to them and they have like a mental breakdown or something like that, and I mean, it's a two-edged sword, right? Because I mean, the corporations, they do have to take care of their bottom line. So they're going to move on. They have to move on. They cannot shut down the whole business because, you're incapacitated. But in the meantime, you kind of want them to shut it down because you gave so much for them, right? So It is difficult, and especially in the sphere that you were, but you have to, really take care of you. So kudos for you on, being able to make that decision. I know that it wasn't instant. I know that it was gradual and it was a combination of things, but you know what? And it's not like you've stepped out of the advocating for others sphere.
Yeah.
I would say you're doing it even more. So our story edutainment, tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but tell our viewers, truly what it is.
Yeah. So our story edutainment, like when I first came back to Worcester from Brooklyn, both of my babies were born in Brooklyn, plenty of culture in Brooklyn and in New York in general. And when I came back to Worcester and, Black History Month rolls around and there's absolutely nothing for our babies. And this is when my children were still in school, 4 and 5. So I had to create it. I had to go to the school and read the stories. I have no problem with it. So I was like, well, you know what? If my babies aren't getting anything, I don't think anybody else's babies are. So let me put on this event. Let me do a Black History Month youth extravaganza. Let me celebrate the life of Bob Marley and his words. Let me join this committee to bring Juneteenth into existence so we can understand what that is. Let's have a Black culture movie night. Let's talk about Ruby Bridges. Let's talk about Malcolm X. We'll still talk about Martin, but everybody gets enough of Martin, although they don't get the real Martin. So we like to introduce the real Martin to folks. So that's kind of where it came from. And as you know, you've been a part of Bob Marley from the beginning. And that was like, we celebrated our 17th Bob Marley birthday bash this year, even though it was virtual, but we still celebrated. So I'm not new to this, I'm true to this because I truly believe in knowledge of self to better yourself. We have to know Black history from our perspective. We cannot have nobody tell our story but us because they're going to leave out some really important things and they're not going to tell us the whole truth. So our babies, our beautiful Black babies, and I don't care where you're from, wherever your people are from, learn that history. Learn that history. The only natives here in America were the Native Americans, the indigenous Indian people, whatever, however you want to call them. They are the people that originated here, not white folks. Y'all is implanted here. So all of that, just breaking down those histories so our babies understand it. We actually, my daughter is running a Saturday school. And the history of Saturday school is like, that's when our people had, I'm not even going to say the day off. They didn't have to be in the fields on Saturdays. Some, not everybody, all of that history is still coming out. Was there a day off? You know what I'm saying? So, so we started Saturday school here so we can teach children about Black history. And right now we have 2 cohorts. We have a 7 to 9-year-old cohort and we have a 10 to 13-year-old cohort. And my daughter laid out a curriculum. It's a 6-month obligation, two times a month. And the children, it's just so amazing what they know, what they don't know, what they want to know. And to be a part of that where we can open minds, that's what we got to do.
Wonderful. I did see on Saturday, I did see posting off, the Saturday school and the artwork and all that. And it's just an incredible thing, that you're doing. And yes, I go way back with the Bob Marley thing, the hostess with the mostest. And, you were always like this, though. You have been consistently educating us on all things Blacks, our history, our heritage, the things that we should be proud of, the things that are not in the books, the things that are not taught in school. And you're right, they pick and choose which one of our heroes we should celebrate. And, it is very watered down and washed out. So to have a space where the kids could go and learn that has been phenomenal. And, birthed through that, the village, which is a space that is there. And I've been to a couple events at the village and, I'll be sharing my journey soon because this is not about me today, but just, highlighting Black female authors in Worcester, Massachusetts here. Yeah. That was phenomenal. Yay. Missed the first one, but it made it to the second. And then, the night of poetry, just spoken word. That was just beautiful. And, there's been so many different things, and, the daily village, the Saturday village, when you come and, you sell your things, and, there's just so many things that are gone and that are happening and that's upcoming. And I'm just so proud. And I will get Miss Shayeja on the program and chat with her, just, the incredible work that's happening down there. But what was the transition like for you to come out of, somewhere where there was, you had your thing, you'd been there for 17 years, but, there was structure, you had to follow certain folks, but now this is on you and this is on Shayeja. Like, what was that transition like?
So I transitioned actually on my birthday. My last day at Abby's house was March 3rd, and March 4th, which is my birthday, my natural mantra, always March 4th, never back. I started at Astoria Edutainment, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. People tell me, oh my gosh, you look so much younger. You don't look so stressed. So, and I joke that Shayeja is my boss, but we actually co-workers. And it's just, you need that structure in place for yourself, right? So now we have to make sure that we get to work on time for ourselves, or whatever that looks like. Like, schedules, whatever works best for you is what you need to do to do this. So we finally came up with hours for the village and our story, but that doesn't mean that our work stops and starts when we're in or out of the building, because it's my baby, so it's constant. So setting in, like putting in time for that self-care for yourself and all of that. So I'm still trying to figure some of that out. This has just been since March, April, May. So still kind of fresh with it, and figuring it out and making it work. But so far, so good.
That's good. That's good. And, I say this to people that I counsel that, they're like, I want to do that entrepreneurial thing. I'm like, but you got to remember, like, even though you set your schedule, you have to make it work for you. And, that you're able to accomplish your goals and your missions, because you could sleep all day and work 1 hour a day, but you're not going to accomplish anything, so you end up working harder, and you said it.
Yeah.
It doesn't end when the clock ends. The other job, maybe you were able to do 9 to 5, and at the end you leave with the stress. But here, like, when you're trying to start a business, when you're trying to do something, be part of a movement, it never ends, because you're constantly thinking, what's next and how can I make this better, and things like that. So, you mentioned Shayeja. I know that, you guys are working together, and I love your relationship. But what kind of support system do you have to ensure that the village is taken care of, but that Parlee has somebody that she can turn to and, say, hey, I need some me time right now?
Well, it's me and her again. We're in the building. And right now we are each other's support system, but you're also part of my support system. Like we say, it takes a village, and it truly does take a village. And I am blessed to have a whole community of people behind me. I have somebody, like, I definitely took a pay cut when I did this, but it doesn't even matter because I have peace of mind. I did have somebody say, hey, if you need money to pay a bill, let me know. Haven't had to do that yet, and I'm hoping that I don't. But just the love of community and my family, my sisters, my kids. So we'll see. Like I said, it's still new, but I'm in it, and I'm, marching forward.
Amen. In it to win it.
That is it.
All right. So, was there like any person that you had seen that did this, that had stepped away from corporate America, that you admired and says, hey, I like what they did. That has inspired me. Was there any inspiration, or it was just,
I think it's just something that I've needed to do for a long time. Like I said, Astoria Edutainment has been in existence for over 20 years. 20 years I've been teaching babies, teaching my own babies. So I really can't even name anybody off the top of my head that I know that has done it. I see a lot now. A lot of women are doing that now. I think COVID has showed us all new possibilities and so on and so forth. And, people being able to work from home are kind of hesitant of going back into the politics of the workforce, especially as Black women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like those of us that do the work, and do it well, without getting the kudos and the money and everything else that they deserve. So I'm excited to see who's coming next. You know what I mean? Who else is coming? I think we need to start a support group for women that have done this.
Girl, ain't
I
nothing but a
know we're
word.
going to talk about that later.
That is a word. No, I am definitely seeing, I don't even want to say a trend, but I'm just seeing women that are just, you know what? It's time. It is time for us to just step forward. And what would you say, getting the village off the ground, what was the biggest hurdle that you faced?
There's a whole history there, and I'm going to let Sha'Asia tell that on her.
Okay.
So the main south area of Worcester has been known as the containment area since I was a young girl. So there's, folks that are addicted, folks struggling with that, homelessness, just being in that area and kind of letting them know that this building right here in particular is going to be a safe space. This is going to be a space for children. It's going to be a space for women. And whatever you do other places in this area are not going to happen near this building. So for us, it's just making sure that our folks are safe and the building is safe and secure, and getting money to make all that happen. So the whole nonprofit piece and just understanding that and just understanding the ropes. And I have to say that we've been blessed. We have people that are walking us through this. So from the community, we're actually getting ready to have a ARPA session for folks that are interested in learning how to access some of that ARPA money that is supposed to be for the Black and Brown community. So we're hoping to get enough money to lay a foundation that we can build on to keep it moving.
Okay.
Pay the rent on the building, pay the lights, and pay us a little bit of money.
You gotta be able to pay yourself, right? You gotta, because listen, we've still got to live. And, if you've bought gas or bought food or anything, and, you said it earlier about just the rent in Worcester, just, my goodness, it's incredible. When I see some of these houses, I'm like, how are folks supposed to live on this? They're fighting about minimum wage. I'm like, that can't get you anything. So no, certainly fantastic. Well, tell me, let's celebrate for a minute. What were some of the first wins for you after leaving? I know it's brand new for you. It's 3 months, but tell me a win that you're like, yes. And, you celebrated it, whether it's personal or publicly or.
Yeah. I just think our events, like the people that keep coming, you know what I mean? The folks that are coming to see the village and coming to our programming. All of them are wins for me. All of them. Being able to work with my daughter, and we still love each other, is definitely a win. It's a daily win. And I know her strengths and she knows my strengths, and we put those together. So that's definitely a win. I'm excited every time we get a grant. That's a win. And I'm excited of everything that we've done, like the authors, the Worcester Black Women Author events, the poetry event. We're going on a whale watch. We're taking Worcester on a whale watch. Every time the community wins, I win. you
Oh
know?
my goodness. And that's why you do what you do, because that's fantastic. Because I'm like, if you didn't say it, I was going to say it. Every event that I've been to has been exceptional. The author, I'm so blessed that I was able to be a part of that. The spoken word, to be able to be a part of that. And, I came to the 1 year celebration of the village the other day, and I was a little late. But I was like, I had to force myself to leave. I was like, I gotta go home and cook for my babies. But it was just such a welcoming atmosphere. I was just sitting there and just talking. And, I saw a picture that was shared on social media by somebody that was there. And honestly, I can't remember the person's name. And I'm just sitting there with my hands to my jaw and just listening. And I was just like, that's community to me. That's family. And I think that, that's what you guys accomplished with the village. And, if that's what you set out to do, I would say, and, you're growing and learning, but I will say you're off to a phenomenal start. So I really and truly love that. If someone, because you're seeing a lot of folks right now wanting to be an entrepreneur, if somebody wants to, give up that 9 to 5 paying gig and step into, what advice would you give to them?
Don't wait till you have all your ducks in a row. If you wait till every single duck is in a row, you'll never get there. Because sometimes time is perfect right now, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because you just got to walk out on faith. I mean, granted, make sure you can, do what you have to do so you don't end up in the street or whatever. But just don't wait until you think, you have to have everything there. Just walk on faith. In faith. I mean,
awesome.
In reality, faith, like, let's be real about our situations. You know what I'm saying? But just ask for help. Ask somebody. Check in with your people. Check in with Suzanne. Check in with Parlee. Not that we can tell you what to do in your life, but just, don't wait until it's a perfect time, because what is perfect? What is perfect? There's nothing perfect on this earth.
Nothing. There's no such thing as perfection. I love that you said that. I'm glad that you said that, because I've been victim of that before, where I was like, I'm going to wait till everything perfectly aligns to do this, and God had other plans, and it's just sometimes but handle your business, but make you move.
All of that. All of that.
All of that. Yeah.
Your spirit, your God, your ancestors, whoever you got to connect with, and just follow your faith. You got it. If you got that little fire, don't let nobody put it out. Just go forward with it. Let it burn. Let us see your light.
Yeah. So, you mentioned that, checking in with your people, and you've said that more than once. And, are there any mentors or folks that you check in with, that's just been able to help you on that journey? Because, we all need help. Like, we can't do it on our own.
Yeah, definitely conversation with my kids, with my close friends, the ancestors, the goddess, God, everybody. What do you expect of me? What are we going to do with this? And, is it time? Can we do this? And came back as yes, especially if you're going to put, like, again, my 16 years, and I'm not complaining. I love my time at Abby's house. I met so many amazing people, learned so many amazing things. But if I'm going to build somebody up, somebody's business up, it should start with myself. If I have goals and dreams, like, don't wait. Don't continue to build somebody. But if you need experience and you need to do what you got to do it. But eventually, hopefully you can do it for yourself. Because we constantly, that's not something we're taught, right? We were taught to go to school, go to college, get your degree, if you were able to make that, and go to work. Nobody told us to be interpreters. Say it for me, Suzanne.
Entrepreneurs.
There you go. Nobody ever taught us that. We never even heard those words when we were coming up. And that's why we're waiting. I've waited till my 56th year right? But young women, the possibilities are endless. So I just, it's a new thing, but it's not a new thing because some people have known it all the time. And here we
Mm-hmm.
are building them up, but now it's time for us to build up ourselves.
No, absolutely. And, one of the things that I preach and one of the things that I talk about often is defining your own success. Like, we can't go by somebody else's standard. I'm a big proponent of education, but I'm also a big fan of like doing it yourself. Like if college is for you, then it's for you. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. You have to do what works for you and be comfortable with defining your own success. I remember when you were young, when I was younger, and, they ask you, what do you want to be? Right. And it's like lawyer and doctor, and like everybody like celebrated. And, if that's not what you wanted to be, you couldn't say anything because folks, it's just like, what do you mean? So like, oh, she's going to be a lawyer. She's going to be a doctor. It was just like, there was nothing else.
Yep.
And I remember reading Michelle Obama's book, and she had just said something, about, give people the opportunity to just be who they want to be. And I really love that. And it wasn't like a direct quote because I don't remember what she said, but it was just along that line. And I remember having a conversation with Sarah Jessica and asking her what she wanted to be. And, she's an artiste, and I'll send you a picture of the things she drew for me yesterday. And I remember saying to her, because I remember when she was younger, she said she used to want to go to Harvard, right? Because Harvard is the be all end all. Everybody wants to go to Harvard, blah, 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 blah. And I remember, just me after growing and evolving, just saying to her one day, all right, if you want to go to Harvard, I will support you 100%. But if you want to go to Harvard to be a lawyer or a doctor, something that Harvard is known for, fine, go ahead and do it. But if you want to be a nail technician, you're going to Blaine Beauty School because you're not going to be the most educated nail technician on earth. So I don't want you to go to Harvard because you think that's what I want, because Harvard is money. And you come out of that with so much debt if you don't get a full ride. So I'm like, just decide what you want to be. And, you're welcome to change it. You don't need to know it right now. Right now, she wants to pursue the art, and I'm just going to support her because one of the easiest way for somebody to fail is to put your expectation on them. One day, they're going to wake up and realize this is not what I want, and then just give up. So,
can you imagine if somebody would have gave us that permission way back? And again, our folks do the best they can with what we have, right? And look what we have now. So lucky for Sarah Jessica, you understand that. And we have to remember that because our babies, this is who we're preparing. Like this world is for our children, right? What are they going to bring? Are they going to be at peace with what they're doing? Are they going to be stressed out like we've been stressed out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just do what you feel, do what you want, do what you're good at.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So my son is a great example, and I'm very proud of both of my children, all of my children, my whole village of children. I'm proud of every single one of them. But my son went to Nativity School, graduated from Tech, didn't choose to go. He chose a couple of big name schools, but he ended up at Quincy. Had a horrible experience with the only Black teacher that he had ever experienced. And he went and got a yoga certification. My son is so happy.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing, but you go through these schools like Nativity, blah, 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 and they expect all these other things from you.
They do.
One of his friends is delivering pizzas and he's loving it, and it's like because it gives them these freedoms to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
My son does teach yoga at the village. Young Black man teaching yoga, it's like, it's not a common thing, so yeah, our babies got to do what they want to do, what they're good at, what they love to do. I wish somebody would have told me that little secret many, many moons ago.
Me too, girl. Me too. But you know what, though? Like this evolution, for me personally, it wasn't instant. It was a gradual because I was raised that way. And, they did the best with what they knew and, how their parents raised them and things like that. So I was like pushing, like, you got to go to college, you got to get this and you got to get this. And it's just, the expectations that I placed on myself and that was placed on me and the path that I felt was, laid out for me and I couldn't deviate. And then I realized that I am going to be pushing the same thing on them. And, it was eye-opening for me to learn that and to get to that point that, because listen, I we didn't have the opportunity to go to college, right? So we were taught to be grateful that we can now go to college. So when you hear if a Black child says they can't go to college, like that's palpitations and heart attacks and, things like that. But, they are successful without college. So choose your path. I can't stress that enough. If it's college, do your thing. If it's not, do your thing. And folks are successful with college degrees and without college degrees. Folks are unsuccessful with college degrees or without college degree. It truly is an individual path. And, I'm loving this entrepreneurial thing, that I see happening, right now. So for you, I mean, I know you said that if, we had known what we known, you probably would have done it differently. But you know what? It's your path. It was the time.
No regrets with anything. I embrace every single good, bad, everything I've ever had in my life because it's brought me to this point.
Exactly. And you like who you are.
Standing. I do.
You do. You love who you are. So, I think sometimes we don't realize that like any deviation, sometimes we wish the lessons were as hard, but any deviation wouldn't have brought us to who we are today. Okay. And if you're happy with who you are, then no regrets, we've just gotta just do it. Just do it. So we're getting ready to wrap up. And, I thank you so much for jumping on and just sharing the village and what's up and in. But first, let's tell me about how people can find out information about the village. So the village is located in Worcester, Massachusetts. Who knows? Maybe the dream one day is to get a little village in every state, in every town. We don't know, like LLC, corporations, franchises. We don't know. Let's speak that out in the atmosphere. But for now, the village that's located in Worcester, Massachusetts, how do you connect with the village and be a part of the village?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to follow us is on our social media, Facebook, Instagram. Those are probably the easiest ways to follow us. The Village, Worcester, and Our Story Edutainment, both on both of those platforms. But websites are in the works for both of those. Come by and see us at the Village at 4 King Street. We would love to see you come through. We have a lot of events planned. Like I said, I was saying earlier, we have a whole boat for whale watching for Worcester people. So we have 175 seats. We have transportation. We got snacks. We got your entry to the boat, all for $25. The regular tickets are $55. One of the things, me and Shaija were talking about this, is providing experiences. We want to provide experiences aside from our trips to the ocean, these things that we take for granted. Some people don't have a ride to get to the ocean. Some people have never been on a whale watch. To be able to provide those experiences for our children. We want to go to the African burial ground in Manhattan. We want to go to the Schomburg Library in Harlem. We want to provide these opportunities for our community. Even some spaces in Boston that our people have never been to. So follow us on social media. Come on and be part of what makes the village great. You can sponsor seats. You can jump on the bus with your family. So many ways to support us in doing what we do, and I'm excited to bring a place where we can be unapologetic in our space because, sometimes it's like when something happens in our community, where do Black folks gather? Where do we come together to talk about our responses? Our pain, usually at the brutality of someone else, which is also part of the reason that all of us folks are trying to get our own things together because we don't want to keep putting ourselves in situations where we are stressed out by somebody else's privilege.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, some people do things, and if we did it, it would be a totally different experience. So we have a place where everybody is welcome. It is an Afrocentric cultural learning and healing center. So Black folks and the Black experience is what is going to be centered, but everybody is welcome.
Wonderful.
Everybody is welcome. So come on through.
Come on through. That is wonderful. All right. So 2 final thoughts. And this is for encouragement for those that are thinking of turning their side hustle into their full-time hustle. What advice would you offer them?
Do it. Do it. Winging a prayer, the blessings of the ancestors. Walk forward. Just walk with it. Do it. March 4th.
March 4th. Do it. Do it.
Be true. Just be true to yourself. Like the hard truths, just be true. Don't lie to yourself about anything. Just be truthful. Come from that place of love. You know what I mean? Because if you're faking it, you're gonna, you just, what energy you putting out there? Is it are you being fake? Are you still being fake? Or are you real about this? Is your heart in the right place with it? Because the universe is gonna open up and give you what you want, as long as you are truthful and as long as you are loving and you're not hurting anybody. The world is ours.
All right.
So,
well, thank you so much. I could not have ended that any better myself. So thank you, as always, Parlee, for being such an exceptional leader. Somebody that I can look up to and a teacher for our youths. And, just kudos on what you're doing. I know that, you said every event that you have is a success and is a win. And it truly is. I've been to a few of them and I absolutely love them. And I know that there's so much value in it. So thank you for sharing your story. For those that you're listening that are looking to jump and be a full-time entrepreneur, like she said, handle your business, but do it. March 4th, go out, do what you have to do. The time is now. As always, I'm grateful and blessed to have you in my life, Miss Parlee. And for all my listeners, I thank you for being consistent, for tuning in every single time. As always, guys, this is Suzanne saying thank you. I am saying I am humbled by your continued support. I am humbled by you continuing to tune in every time there's a new episode. I appreciate it because I know that there's a lot of podcasts out there for you to choose from, so that you continue to choose mine and listen to it. I appreciate it. So a couple of things. Want to keep reminding you guys that the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast is available. It is on my website at www.positivelysuzanne.com. It's also available in all the major podcasting directories. It's on Apple Music, it's on Amazon, it's on iHeart, it's on Google Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, and a plethora of others. So wherever you get your podcasts, I guarantee you the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast is on it. So I need you to do a couple of things for me. I need you to listen to the episode. I need you to subscribe. I need you to share the episode. I need you to write a review and spread the word that the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast is out there. It's happening and it's fun and fabulous. So I want you to share it because we're trying to help more people. So again, please go ahead and share, write a review. If you want to reach out to me, you can connect with me at Suzanne@positivelysuzanne.com. You could also follow me on social media. Instagram is my main jam. So go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I am just so appreciative of everything you do. Also, buy me a coffee should be right at the bottom of the episode. So you can go ahead and buy me a coffee. Just remember that every coffee that you buy goes towards purchasing equipment to upgrade the soul. So I could be bigger and better for you all. All right. So as always, I'm so appreciative of you guys. And until next time, this is Suzanne signing off.